Look in any window is one among the knots and refrains making up David Henderson's 1971 book, The Mayor of Harlem.
On a stretch of imagination grown implacably elastic, dispersed for an eternity too brisk, each multiple makes climax more successful and sarcastic, to beat the spread and socialize the risk.
Henderson, his bio note lists his occupations as grocery clerk, schoolteacher, messenger, picket line boss and union organizer, understands the city as a tight lattice of metallic oil alloys, ionic melts, aqueous solutions, molecular liquids and decayed men who want to live forever.
So life becomes the market for the debts in its behest, as love invalidates its only hedge. For underneath the shattering in the insensate crest is an abyss of extortion.
There are no lines to draw between Harlem late 60s and whatever the fuck Bethnal Green is supposed to be.
It's like Theresa May when she comes, shrieking her spam volcano.
There are no equations between the rich mix and the Pembury estate.
You only meant to tease her with your baby spewing bazooka.
The observation that old windows are sometimes found to be thicker at the bottom than at the top is often offered as supporting evidence for the view that glass flows over a time scale of centuries.
Home is coming quietly, backing up the drive at every step.
This assumption is incorrect. Once solidified, glass does not flow anymore, though obviously it is possible to spin molten glass so as to create a round, mostly flat and even plate.
That window disappears as on a stretch of imagination grown impossible as dispensed with too much.
I wish I knew more about maths or algebra so I could explain to you exactly what I mean.
Underfoot, snow. Either side, space.
So instead of that, I'll give you a small thesis on the nature of rhythm. A, they had banged his head on the floor and they were giving him punches. B, he was already handcuffed and he was restrained when I saw him. C, he was shouting, help me, help me. D, he wasn't coherent. E, I went to speak to his mum. F, he couldn't even stand up after they hit him with the batons. G, they knocked on her door 3 hours later and told her your son's died.
You, whoever you are, would lean on the window, and I, whoever I am, would look at you and passionately believe you must be looking out, as it felt devastatingly both at me and at anything and everything else, so that I had to be the thing that was straight in front of you and unavoidable to have you and be real.
I can't remember exactly where I read that.
But the thrilling idea is really that anything and everything else can be looked at only as a distraction from you looking at me, and that you keep on looking at it distractedly, not at me, who am your origin and enemy.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't in a literary magazine, but I guess you'll have to agree it outlines a fairly conventional metrical system.
I want that, to be loved.
Poetry transforms itself dialectically into the voice of the crowd. René Menil made that claim way back in 1944 or something.
Not instead to be administratively assessed from mass attenuation coefficients for a joke, like the electron density of polymethyl methacrylate.
Well, what if that's not true?
Britain is militarizing penguin paradise. You are all asleep.
What if all it can do is transform it into the endless wax of police clubs?
The era is post-war.
Henderson, in The Mayor of Harlem, sees the riots not as an exception, but as the central knot within the city's structure.
Imagine the most repulsive thing you can smash flat. Now imagine that thing squared.
Our situation is somewhat different, and has to take into consideration the highly complex interactions between the cosmological circuit of the entire history of the city perimeter and the controlled circle of the skulls of each person who was arrested and imprisoned following the August riots center.
That's the economy we're dealing with, for ephemera and post-spherical.
Volcanic glass is the amorphous, uncrystallized product of rapidly cooling magma.
The bones creep up and tip the flesh into the neighbour's bin.
Like all types of glass, It is a state of matter intermediate between the close-packed, highly ordered array of a crystal and the highly disordered array of gas.
Love is serious work, leading the absolute perdition of wages.
For Henderson, glass is what separates us from protected dreams.
Do you love me seriously, like that? Truly opposite to remuneration.
Most of my dreams take place from the perspective of several more or less dead backbench Tory MPs.
When we fuck, do you want to do in friction and ecstasy the impossible act to abolish our exploitation? Do you want to suck and lick each other to a pure gift? To drink me deep, not gargle me and spit? To eat me like rice crackers or like a Rivita, incommensurable with the at least haemophiliac cannibal, rub shit all over each other, wade our dust, splashing in it, shattered, actually intact, my skull resting on your pelvis, whispering and kissed?
The consciousness of these MPs, each representing a more or less cryptic and closed society, is to be exported to the invisible node points of our current historical moment, that is, deaths in police custody.
We fell on the mattress and started to fuck.
A solid formed by rapid melt quenching.
Someone came in and went out.
No signal.
I secretly want to go soft.
We burned their houses down.
Then I do go soft, and everything is ruined, but more true.
Depending on its composition, some glass will melt at temperatures as low as 500 degrees C.
Some kind of pate is spread thin across the ceiling, more slick than a gulf. It is in this bind that the solution to despair ends up short on banality.
Their docility is absolute so long as they are given no salt. If they inadvertently eat any food containing even a grain of salt, the fog enveloping their minds is immediately dispelled and they become suddenly aware of their environment. This discovery arouses in them an immense anger and an uncontrollable desire for revenge. They hurl themselves on their master, kill him, ravage his goods, then go off in search of their graves.